Boy, oh boy, I can't wait to review this stuff. Anyways, let's get on with the video. So today we're going to be reviewing the June qualifiers, as you can see by the title, and also everything that happened before, so you guys can stay up to date. The Asian format has changed, and now 8 teams can qualify. Also, the formats for every other confederation have changed. The first round has the 20 worst teams, and the 10 winners play with 26 other teams in 9 groups of 4. The winners and runners-up go to the final round, where they will be divided into 3 groups of 6. The top 2 teams in each group will qualify, while 3rd and 4th will go to a 4th round, where they will be drawn into 2 groups of 3. The winners qualify for the World Cup, while the runners-up go to a playoff. The winner of said playoff goes to the Intercontinental Playoff with 5 other teams. So we start with the first round of Asia with the worst ranked teams. None of these teams have ever qualified except for one team in 1938. We'll talk about them later, but let's review them anyways. Afghanistan have never qualified for the Asian Cup or the final round, and their best finish in World Cup qualifiers was 4th in 2018 with 9 points, so they're clearly not that good. Last time around they finished with 6 points in 4th, and couldn't even beat Bangladesh. Mongolia have never qualified for the final round or the Asian Cup, but they made it to the second round for the first time in their history, where they got 2 wins. One against Myanmar, and another away against Kyrgyzstan to finish 4th, which is really impressive for their standard. Also, this happened in 2022. Alright, from now on, assume the team hasn't made the final round or Asian Cup unless I say otherwise. Maldives' best finish in World Cup qualifying was last cycle, where they finished 4th with 7 points, but at least they got a point against a team that wasn't Guam, which was the Philippines. Bangladesh have one Asian Cup appearance in 1980, where they went out in the group stage. Their best finish in qualifying are 2 last place finishes in the second round in 2022 and 2018. 2022, they did beat Laos to make it to the second round, but that's about it for them. Singapore hosted the Asian Cup and didn't escape the group stages and haven't made it back since. They almost made the final round of qualifying in 1978 and lost to Hong Kong in a playoff to win the group, and in 2010 and 2014 made it to the third round back-to-back, with 2010 statistically being their better performance. And in 2018 qualifying, they finished in 3rd ahead of Afghanistan and Cambodia. Last qualification campaign, they finished 4th with 7 points, but they did beat Palestine, so things could be looking good. Guam in 2018 qualifying beat India and Turkmenistan and drew against Oman. And when they did lose matches though, they only lost by 1 goal, except against Iran. Last time around though, they couldn't even get a win in the second round after losing to Mother Bhutan in the first round, but they did slap them up 5-0 in the second leg. Yemen qualified for the Asian Cup for the first time as an independent nation back in 2019. They lost all their games and didn't score a single goal. Their best performance in World Cup qualifying was back in 2002, when they finished second behind the UAE by 1 point and agonizingly missed out on the final round. Last qualification run, Yemen finished rock bottom, but they did manage to beat Palestine and hold the Saudis to a draw. In 1998 qualifying, Sri Lanka finished second, ahead the likes of India and the Philippines. Nowadays though, they are the worst ranked Asian team in FIFA. Last time in World Cup qualifiers, they only progressed to the second round after Macau had a 1-0 lead over them. They had to forfeit the next match after they refused to travel to Sri Lanka because of the Easter bombings. And in the second round, they didn't even get a single point. Myanmar made it to the Asian Cup back in 1968, where they finished the runners-up. The best finish in qualifying came back in 2018, where they finished 4th and drew to Laos. In their last campaign, they finished last, losing to Mongolia of all teams. Macau's best finish in qualifying was back in 1998, where they finished 3rd ahead of Nepal, but they literally drew them also. Last World Cup qualifiers, they had a 1-0 advantage against Sri Lanka, as just mentioned, but they refused to travel. They have never made it to the second round to date. Back in the day, Cambodia were an Asian powerhouse and finished 4th in the 1972 Asian Cup. They first made it to the second round of World Cup qualifying back in 2018, after beating Macau and finished last with 0 points. In 2022, they did even better, beating Pakistan to advance to the second round and got a grand total of, drumroll please, 1 point. But hey, progress. This is a rematch from last time, so it will be really interesting. Pakistan have literally zero history, that's how trash they are. They have also never made it to the second round of qualifying, or even getting a win in qualifying. Taiwan, or for those nerds, Chinese Taipei, they have 2 appearances in the Asian Cup, and in 1960, they made it to 3rd place. But nowadays, they get battered on the regular. The best finish in qualifying saw them finish 3rd behind Malaysia and ahead of Bangladesh in 1998. They did finish last though in their group last qualification campaign, so it hasn't gotten better.
Big man thing, yeah? It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
East Timor's best performance in the World Cup qualifying goes back to 2018 when they beat Mongolia to make it to the second round and got 2 points against Malaysia and Palestine. Unluckily for them though, they got caught falsifying documents for players that were ineligible to play for the team, and all their points were forfeited to the other teams, and they were banned from the Asian Cup in 2023.
Come on over here. No, you flip me off. Come on, coward. No. Come on. You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
Last qualifying run without their fake players got demolished by Malaysia. Indonesia are that team that qualified for the World Cup back in 1938 and got destroyed by Hungary. They only qualified because the other teams withdrew. They have 6 appearances in the Asian Cup, most recently in 2023, where they made it to the round of 16 for the first time. And their most recent qualification campaign saw them come last in a group containing Southeast Asia plus the UAE. Brunei's past performances came in 2018 and 2022 qualifying, where they ended up choking a lead to Taiwan and narrowly missed out after coming back against Mongolia. They have never made it to the second round, and it's safe to say it ain't happening this year. But also this country has fight Bolkiah, the richest footballer in the world. Hong Kong have 4 Asian Cup appearances and finished 3rd in 1956 and qualified for the Asian Cup for the first time since 1968 in 2023 and crashed out of the groups. Their best qualification run saw them make the final round, where they didn't win a single game in 1978. They also made it to the semifinals for qualifying but lost 3 times there in 1974, 1982, and 1986. Their best most recent run saw them finish 3rd with 14 points, beating Maldives and Bhutan, and holding China to 2 draws and putting off good fights against Qatar. Last campaign they finished 4th behind Bahrain, Iraq, and Iran, and had a draw against Cambodia, but they did get a point off of Bahrain. Also back in 1986 qualifying, Hong Kong beat China in Beijing to advance to the next round, this being their most famous victory. Bhutan first started competing in World Cup qualifying in 2018 and got their first 2 wins against Sri Lanka and advanced to the next round. But they lost all their games and conceded 15 to Qatar. Last qualifying campaign they had a narrow lead over Guam, but yeah. Nepal's best appearance in World Cup qualifying saw them finish 3rd in 2002. In 2022 they finished 4th, which is their second best run in qualifying. In Laos's best ever run in qualifying, they finished 3rd ahead of the Philippines. They haven't even gotten close though, and didn't even make it past the first round last qualification, losing to Bangladesh. Anyways, now let's review all the matches, and we start with Afghanistan versus Mongolia. Due to the Afghan conflict, Afghanistan played their home leg in Tajikistan and got 2 consecutive 1-0 wins thanks to Jabbar Sharjah and Farshan Noor. Maldives scored a late winner at home against Bangladesh, at least that's what they thought, as Bangladesh equalized just minutes later. Bangladesh then took an early lead in the second leg before Maldives equalized right before halftime. Immediately though, Bangladesh scored one of their own and they won the game 2-1. Singapore scored 2 goals right before halftime, and despite Guam pulling one back, it wasn't enough. In the second leg, Shawal Anwar scored the only goal of the match to secure the win. Yemen absolutely cooked the Sri Lankans with 3 goals from Maher Al-Jawashi and their best player Al-Matari. A draw in the second leg was enough for them to progress to the next round. Myanmar took the lead right before halftime from Nguyen Mo Un before Macau equalized through Doral. After that though, Macau fell apart as Sotmoy Kia took the lead back before Myanmar scored 3 late goals to win 5-1. Myanmar progressed after a 0-0 draw. Cambodia drew 0-0 against Pakistan at home before Pakistan scored in the second leg to win 1-0 and end their 13-game winless streak and progressed to the second round for the first time in history. Taiwan smoked East Timor 4-0 with 2 goals from Yu Yao-si and goals from Chen Ting-yang and Ko Yu-ting. The second leg was held in Taiwan as East Timor couldn't host it, so they scored 3 goals early on from Yu Chia-hoan, Wu Yan-shu, and Tuan. Indonesia absolutely smoked Brunei in the first leg, with Dimas scoring a hat-trick. No mercy was shown in the second leg as Indonesia blew the competition. Hong Kong scored 4 goals in the first half. Bhutan did make a comeback in the second leg with 2 goals from Chen Gilchen and Zhou. Laos took the lead against Nepal before Nepal equalized, and in the second leg, a goal from Manish Dangi was enough for Nepal to advance. In the second round, in Group A, we have Qatar, India, Kuwait, and Afghanistan, who beat Mongolia. Qatar have played in the World Cup as hosts, as we all know, in 2022, where they finished last, becoming the first host nation to not earn a single point. In the Asian Cup, they have won 2 back-to-back titles in 2019 and 2023. They were also invited to the 2019 Copa America and the 2021 and 23 CONCACAF Gold Cups, and in Copa America they went out of the groups, but in the Gold Cup they made it to the semifinals in 2021 and the quarters in 2023. Last time Qatar competed in qualifying, they finished dead last in a group with Syria, Uzbekistan, China, Iran, and South Korea. They have improved since then. Since they have never qualified legitimately, we will be going over their best qualification campaign, which was all the way back in 1990 when they missed out to the UAE by 1 point. India qualified once for the World Cup after all the other teams withdrew, and they withdrew themselves to compete in the Olympics. They had 5 appearances in the Asian Cup and finished second in 1964. In the best qualification run, they agonizingly missed out by 2 points to Indonesia in 1986 and by 1 point to the UAE in 2002, and they finished right behind Yemen on goal difference as well. Nowadays though, they are losing to the likes of Guam and Turkmenistan. Last qualification campaign though, they finished in 3rd with 7 points and could barely beat Bangladesh and Afghanistan, who are in their group again. Kuwait qualified for the World Cup in 1982, where they got a historic draw against Czechoslovakia. The rest of the run was disappointing, conceding 4 to France, but they put off an impressive fight against England. Kuwait haven't been in the Asian Cup since 2015, where they crashed out of the groups, but back in the day, they were one of the best in Asia and won the tournament when they hosted it in 1980. But now the team has been plagued by suspensions and inactivity, but they are on the rise again, after getting second last qualification campaign ahead of Jordan. In Group B, we have Japan, Syria, North Korea, and Myanmar. This isn't gonna end well. Japan have qualified for every World Cup since 1998 and made it to the round of 16 4 times, all of them ending in misery and heartbreak. First in 2002, they topped the group ahead of Belgium and lost by 1 goal to Turkey. In 2010, they held their own against the Netherlands until Wesley Sneijder turned on God mode and they beat Denmark and lost on penalties to Paraguay. 2018 saw them become the first Asian nation to beat a South American team, beating Colombia 2-1. And in the round of 16, they had a 2-0 lead against Belgium and choked it after Nasser Chadli scored a late goal to win the match. 2022 was also agonizing after beating giants like Spain and Germany, and they had a lead against Croatia and choked it again and lost on penalties. Japan have 4 Asian Cup titles, and most recently in 2023, they went out in the quarterfinals, narrowly losing to Iran. Syria's best appearance in World Cup qualifying saw them heartbreakingly lose to Australia in the playoff round after beating the likes of China, Uzbekistan, and Qatar, and putting good fights against Iran and South Korea. The last qualifying campaign, they couldn't even beat the UAE and Iraq. Syria's best run in the Asian Cup came most recently in 2023, when they made it to the round of 16 for the first time. North Korea have made it to 2 World Cups in 2010 and 1966, both famous for opposite reasons. In 1966, they beat Italy to escape their group and had a 3-0 lead against Portugal, but decided to turn into Spurs and somehow bottle it. In 2010, after fighting Brazil to the end and narrowly losing, the government decided to broadcast their games, and they conceded 10 goals in 2 matches, including 7-0 to Portugal. In 1980, they made it to the semifinals in the Asian Cup, which is their best ever finish. They were doing pretty good in 2022 qualifying until they withdrew. In Group C, there's South Korea, China, Thailand, and Singapore. South Korea have qualified for every World Cup since 1986 and made it to the semifinals in 2002 when they hosted it, which was definitely not match fixed, and they definitely didn't rob Portugal, Italy, and Spain. If you don't count that though, they have made it to the round of 16 twice in 2010 when they beat Greece and got destroyed by Argentina, and could even beat Nigeria. And in 2022 where they beat Portugal after looking like they were down and out after losing to Ghana. They won the first 2 Asian Cups and haven't won any since. China qualified in 2002 where they lost all their games and didn't score a single goal. They have 2 runners-up finishes in 1984 and 2004 in the Asian Cup, but haven't come even close ever since. Last time in qualifying they finished 5th and lost to Vietnam. So it ain't looking good for Xi Jinping after his plan blew up in his face. Thailand were invited to the first ever World Cup but withdrew. Sure you regret that, guys. In 2002 and 2018 they made it to the final round but couldn't get a single win in both times. The best finish in the Asian Cup is 3rd place in 1972 when they hosted it. In 2022 they were in a group with Southeast Asia plus the UAE and finished underwhelmingly, losing to Malaysia twice and drawing against Indonesia to finish 4th. But hey, at least you guys beat the UAE. Group D has Oman, Kyrgyzstan, Malaysia, and Taiwan. And none of these teams have ever qualified, which makes this group far more interesting. Oman have never qualified but have made the final round 3 times, and in 2014 and 2022 they were 1 point off of the playoff round behind Jordan and Australia respectively. In the Asian Cup, they made it to the round of 16 in 2019, but that's about it. In Kyrgyzstan's first ever Asian Cup appearance, they made it to the round of 16, putting up impressive performances against giants like China and South Korea. Kyrgyzstan's best finish in qualifying saw them finish 3rd twice back-to-back in 2018 and in 2022, but in 2018 they had the better record. They could have had the same amount of points as before, but they lost to Mongolia. Malaysia have never made out of the group stages in the Asian Cup, but they did pull a draw against South Korea. 1986, 1990, and 1998. They finished 2nd in their group, with 1986 being the most painful, after being 1 point away from qualification to the final round. Group E has Iran, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Hong Kong. Iran have 6 appearances in the World Cup and haven't made it past the groups, and have made it to the past 3 World Cups, which have been the most painful as well. With Messi and Pulisic going clutch, they have 3 Asian Cup titles, and most recently they made it to the semifinals and lost to Qatar. Uzbekistan have never qualified for the World Cup, but they have always come agonizingly close, whether it be 1 point away from the playoff in 2002, losing on away goals to Bahrain in the 2006 playoff, losing on penalties to Jordan in the playoff back in 2014, Syria scoring a late winner against Iran, or even 1 Palestine loss, which prevented them from advancing to the final round. That's qualifying. This nation has been through a lot now, but now that there are more spots, they will probably qualify. In the Asian Cup, they finished in the semifinals in 2011 and haven't achieved that feat since. In their most recent appearance, however, they made it to the quarterfinals and missed out on the semis after losing to penalties to Qatar. Turkmenistan have 0 World Cup appearances, and they haven't made the final round, and they have only 2 appearances in the Asian Cup where they couldn't escape the groups, most recently in 2019. They have been oh so close to making the final round on multiple occasions. In 2018 they were 1 point behind Oman, and if they beat Guam they would have finished 2nd. And in 2022 they were 1 point behind Lebanon. 2002 was also painful, as they were only 2 points behind Uzbekistan. Group F has Iraq, Vietnam, Philippines, and Indonesia. Iraq qualified once back in 1986 where they lost all their games, but to be fair, it was by only 1 goal and they had a difficult group. In 2007, Iraq completed one of the best underdog stories to win the Asian Cup. They haven't been the same since, but they have been getting better. Despite going out in the round of 16, they played good against Jordan. They just got robbed by the refs. At least that's what I heard. Plus, they beat Japan in the groups. Vietnam have never qualified for the World Cup, but they made it to the final round, last qualifying run, and became the first Southeast Asian nation to win a match in the final round, and they did it on Lunar New Year against China. They have 2 quarterfinal appearances in 2007 when they joint hosted it, and also in 2019, when they made it to the quarterfinals, beating Jordan on penalties and holding their own against Japan. but in 2023, they couldn't get out of the groups and lost to Indonesia, who are in their group again. Philippines have never made it to the final round in qualifying, let alone qualify for the World Cup, but they did make it to one Asian Cup back in 2019 and couldn't get out of the groups. The best appearances in World Cup qualifying came both recently in 2018 and 2022 when they finished third. The most famous victory was against North Korea in 2018, which eliminated them from qualifying. They could have been joint second, but they lost to the worst Bahrain side in recent times, and Yemen. In 2022, they did better with one extra point, that coming against China, but they did draw against the Maldives, of all teams. Group G has Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Tajikistan, and Pakistan. Saudi Arabia have qualified for 6 World Cups, and last World Cup, they beat Argentina, and then disappeared not only from the World Cup, but they haven't been the same since, losing to the likes of Costa Rica, Venezuela, Oman, Mali, even Bolivia, the sea level merchants. The best run goes all the way back to 1994 though, when they beat Morocco and Belgium, and against Belgium, Al Owairan scored that iconic goal. I hope I didn't butcher that. The Saudis have 3 Asian Cup titles coming in 1984, 1988, and 1996. Jordan have never qualified for the World Cup, but they made it to the Intercontinental Playoffs in 2014 after beating Uzbekistan on penalties before getting absolutely blasted by Uruguay. Last campaign though, they couldn't even get second behind Kuwait. Jordan have 6 Asian Cup appearances, with their best finish coming recently in 2023, making a huge underdog story and making it to the final, beating the likes of Iraq and South Korea. But it wasn't meant to be as Qatar turned on God mode. Tajikistan have never made it to the final round, with their best appearances in World Cup qualifying coming in 1998, 2002, and most recently in 2022. They could have qualified for the final round in 2022, but they lost to Myanmar. But they could cause some trouble for the other teams, as they made it to the quarterfinals in their first ever Asian Cup, ahead of China and Lebanon, and beat UAE on penalties and put up a decent fight against Jordan, who are in their group again. Group H has the UAE, Bahrain, Yemen, and Nepal. The UAE have one World Cup appearance in 1990 and lost all their games. Last time for Qatar, UAE almost qualified, but they had to meet Australia in the playoff and lost 2-1. They have never won the Asian Cup, but they have one runners-up finish in 1996. Bahrain have never qualified for the World Cup, but they have come so close in the 2000s. First in 2006, after beating Uzbekistan on away goals, they had a 1-1 draw going into the second leg at home, and conceded against Trinidad. Then in 2010, they beat Saudi Arabia on away goals and lost in the second leg to New Zealand. Bahrain though haven't been the same since that feat. They almost made the final round last campaign, but they drew against Hong Kong. I don't understand this team, man. Group I has Australia, Palestine, Lebanon, and Bangladesh. Australia have 6 appearances, and after no one believed them to qualify, they beat Peru on penalties to qualify for the World Cup. They were the second worst ranked team going into the 2006 World Cup, and defied all odds and got out of their group, ahead of Croatia and Japan. 2022 was also special, as they beat Tunisia and Denmark, and were so close to equalizing against Argentina. Palestine have no World Cup appearances or final round appearances, but perhaps that could change with the war and light a fire in this team like Syria in 2018 or Ukraine in 2022. Their best finish in qualification was in 2002, when they finished second, and more recently in 2018 and 2022. In 2018 they finished third with their highest point tally, and in 2022 they were third again and had a good start and could have finished second, but they battled against Singapore and Yemen. But on the plus side, they did get a draw with the Saudis, and they beat Uzbekistan. In the Asian Cup, they made it to the round of 16 for the first time ever since they made their debut in 2015 and had the lead against Qatar until the second half. Anyways, I end with this. Free Palestine. By the way, I don't support Hamas or the IDF, I just don't want people to die. Lebanon have made it to the final round in 2014 and 2022. 2022 saw them start off good, but then they fizzle out and finish the last. 3 appearances in the Asian Cup, though they have never made it past the group stage. Qatar have gotten off to a good start and destroyed Afghanistan 8-1 after the players revolted against the Federation and left. and India beat Kuwait thanks to a goal from Manveer. And to make matters worse for Kuwait, they got a red card and went down to 10 men. Luckily, Kuwait redeemed themselves with a 4-0 win against Afghanistan. Qatar then beat India 3-0. Right now, they are top of the group in first with 6 points, with Kuwait and India right behind them with 3. Afghanistan, though, will want to forget this window. Japan have started off in dominating fashion with 2 5-0 wins over Myanmar and Syria. Syria did get an advantage over North Korea, beating them 1-0 thanks to a penalty by Omar El-Somah. North Korea redeemed themselves, however, with a 6-1 thrashing of Myanmar, with Wang Kwai-san finally returning and scoring a goal. Japan have absolutely blown the competition, and the fight for second will be very interesting with Syria and North Korea. South Korea are dominating as well with a 5-0 win against Singapore and a 3-0 win against China. Thailand were god-awful in Bangkok against China, but despite that took the lead through Sarak. But Wu Lei carried China for the 100th time before Hang Shuang-yun scored the winner. I definitely butchered that. Thailand got a win against Singapore and took an early lead, and despite the fact that Singapore equalized, Sukhmanat scored 2 to win the match for Thailand. South Korea are top, and China and Thailand will be fighting for the second spot, with Singapore pretty much out of it already. Group D is seeing Malaysia at the top of the group. Oman started off with a 3-0 win against Taiwan, while Malaysia took the lead through Dion Kools, but then Kyrgyzstan scored 2 goals right before halftime, and another early into the second half. Then Malaysia started the comeback as Kyrgyzstan scored an own goal, and Kools equalized before Faisal scored a 90th minute winner to end this wonderful game. And after that, they narrowly won against Taiwan with a goal from Darren Lock. Kyrgyzstan, though, redeemed themselves for their bottle job and beat group favorites Oman thanks to Abdurrahmanov. Malaysia are somehow top of the group, with Kyrgyzstan and Oman breathing down Malaysia's necks, and Taiwan have 0 points. Iran and Uzbekistan both obtained wins versus Hong Kong and Turkmenistan respectively. They drew against each other after Iran took the lead with Rezaian and the Iranian goat Taremi. Uzbekistan, though, had something to say about that, with Urnov pulling them back before Sergeyev earned a crucial point for Uzbekistan. Hong Kong and Turkmenistan could only get a point from each other after Hong Kong came back twice from behind, with Minazao absolutely cooking the Hong Kong defense. Uzbekistan and Iran are joint top, with Turkmenistan and Hong Kong joint bottom. Iraq destroyed Indonesia 5-1 and narrowly beat Vietnam 1-0 in the last minute. Muhammad Ali scored. No, not Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. Vietnam got a win themselves 2-0 against the Philippines, who got 1 point after getting a draw against Indonesia. Iraq right now are top with 6 of 6 points, and Vietnam are right behind them with 3. Philippines and Indonesia are both bottom and will hope to bounce back. Saudi Arabia got a win against Pakistan and Jordan, with Al-Shari scoring a brace against Jordan to win the match. Tajikistan faced Jordan, and there was a lot of drama in the last minutes, with Tajikistan taking the late lead in the 89th minute, before Jordan quickly reacted in the 3rd minute of injury time. Tajikistan then got a 6-1 win against Pakistan, which means they are second behind Saudi Arabia on 4 points. The UAE are off to a hot start with 2 wins against Nepal and a 2-0 win against Bahrain. Bahrain got 3 points this window after beating Yemen with 2 goals. Yemen, though, redeemed themselves with a win against Nepal. UAE are top, obviously, with Yemen and Bahrain close in behind. Australia absolutely destroyed Bangladesh, and Harry Suter came in clutch against Palestine to get them all 6 points this window. Lebanon got 2 draws. To be fair, one of them was against Palestine, but the other was against Bangladesh. In the next window in March, Qatar got a 3-0 win against Kuwait and then took the lead against Kuwait in the return fixture, but they responded immediately. But Almoaz Ali scored his 2nd goal to shush the Kuwaiti crowd and send Qatar to the next round. Afghanistan and India played a 0-0 draw, and in the return fixture, India took the lead through a penalty taken by Sunil Chetri, but Afghanistan came back with a goal from Akbari and a penalty by Muhammad. This sees 3 teams battling for the final spot next window, with India and Afghanistan tied on points and Kuwait just behind with 3. Japan played rivals North Korea, and a single goal by Ao Tanaka gave Japan the win. Meanwhile, Syria were choking their chances of qualification with Myanmar. Luckily, they weren't having any of it in the return fixture and destroyed them 7-0. Japan were awarded a 3-0 win because North Korea refused to host the game because of a disease in Japan. With this forfeit, Japan go through while Syria and North Korea will fight for the final spot, while somehow Myanmar can still qualify after the draw with Syria. But considering they have to play Japan, they're screwed.
I'm in danger!
South Korea got a draw against Thailand after Sun scored, but his goal was cancelled out by Sufara. Lule carried China once again before Singapore realized they were playing China and scored through Faris and Mahler. In the reverse fixture, China beat them this time 4-1 with a brace from Lule and Fernandinho. Yeah, China known for making actual talent. South Korea got an easy 3-0 win, but the passage to the next round will have to wait after bottling against Thailand. China are in second, and if they beat Thailand, they are most likely through. Singapore can also still qualify despite being last, but considering they have to play South Korea, it's not looking good. Malaysia's brilliant start to qualifying came to an end with 2 consecutive 2-0 defeats to Oman. Kyrgyzstan got 2 crucial wins against Taiwan to tie them on points with Oman and eliminate Taiwan in the process, while Malaysia dropped down to 3rd. Uzbekistan slapped up Hong Kong and Iran demolished Turkmenistan in their first fixtures, and in the second, a goal by Gaeti sent them to the next round along with Uzbekistan, who are tied on points, while both Turkmenistan and Hong Kong are eliminated.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
Hanan Ali and no, not Muhammad Ali yet again scored yet another winner for Iraq against the Philippines. And then Iraq played around with their lifeless bodies in the next fixture. Indonesia got a narrow 1-0 victory against Vietnam with a goal from Eki. Stopped them up 3-0 in the second fixture. This sees Iraq go through to the next round, while Vietnam now have to chase Indonesia to qualify for the next round. Philippines can also get in, but the goal difference isn't helping at all. Jordan put 10 past Pakistan, while Salim Al-Dosri scored another important goal against Tajikistan. But in the reverse fixture, they fell behind but came back with the goal from Soyrov, who kept Tajikistan alive to qualify for the 3rd round, while Pakistan are officially out. Jordan are ahead of Tajikistan, and their match against each other will determine who goes through. Saudi's draw with Tajikistan prevents them from advancing just yet. UAE took the lead against Yemen with a penalty before UAE scored again in their own net before redeeming themselves 3 minutes later to win 2-1. They owned Yemen 3-0 in the second match to advance to the final round.
No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what.
Bahrain scored 8 in total against Nepal to eliminate them and just need a point to advance, while Yemen have to win their next matches.
No! It can't be! No!
Australia got a 2-0 win at home against Lebanon, Bacchus and Rao scoring before making suicide rate 5% higher in Lebanon with a 5-0 win. Palestine did the same to Bangladesh and then scored a 90th minute winner against them in the return fixture, which sees Australia go through and Palestine just need 1 point to progress to the next round for the first time ever, while Lebanon have to win in order to stay alive. This June window saw a lot of chaos, especially in Group A. While things remain exactly the same with 2 0-0 draws in the 5th match day, the final match day had loads of drama. India played Qatar's B team and took the lead, but then Qatar hit back with a definitely not corrupt goal that didn't cross the line, and a legit goal scored by Al-Rawi. Meanwhile, Kuwait scored a late winner against Afghanistan, with Al-Rashidi scoring the biggest goal of his career. This sees Kuwait, who were down and out, advance to the next round, while India and Afghanistan are left empty-handed. Japan slammed on Myanmar, which fully eliminated them. Syria could have advanced to the next round with a draw, but lost to North Korea in the last minute with Jang Il-guan scoring, and a win against Myanmar sent them through to the next round. Singapore were dead to begin with, and South Korea made Japan's win look like a slap on the wrist. China and Thailand couldn't separate themselves, with Superchat scoring early, but Xian Yuning kept China alive, which was crucial as they were playing South Korea, while Thailand had the easier path. China did the hard part and held South Korea for as long as possible. They conceded 1 goal to chain in lead, but that was enough as Thailand couldn't get enough goals and China drove through. Speaking of this match, however, Thailand took the lead, but Ilkay Fandi responded in the second half. Thailand finally woke up, but it was too little, too late. Thailand could have made it, but Singapore goalkeeper Hassan Sani made 10 saves to help China go through, and after the match, Chinese fans went to his restaurant that he owned and started giving him 5-star reviews and ordering food as a gift of thanks. Oman in Group D progressed after defeating already eliminated Taiwan 3-0, and Malaysia needed a win to keep their hopes alive against Kyrgyzstan, but fell short with a draw. After conceding in the 20th minute, Malaysia equalized after an own goal, but it wasn't enough. Now Malaysia need Kyrgyzstan to lose and beat Taiwan by 9 goals. That didn't happen. Kyrgyzstan took the lead before Oman equalized to pull it level. Meanwhile, Malaysia beat Taiwan after falling behind, which ended their campaign as they finished third, while Oman and Kyrgyzstan progressed. This is also the first time Kyrgyzstan have progressed to the final round. Iran and Uzbekistan were already through, but Uzbekistan did get a point from Iran in Iran, so that is a huge morale boost going into the next round. And that completes the funniest group of all time because Iran and Uzbekistan are both top, same amount of points, and Turkmenistan and Hong Kong are both at the bottom, same amount of points. Vietnam needed to win to have any hopes of progressing, but they fell behind to a Rachel goal, but hit back with Nguyen Ten Linh, I definitely butchered that, scoring a brace before Philippines equalized, until Pham Tuan Hai won the game in the dying minutes of the match. With Indonesia losing to Iraq, there's still hope. Vietnam, however, had to play Iraq and conceded early before Yassin doubled Iraq's lead. Vietnam did pull one back, but it wasn't enough and ended 3-1. And coupled with Indonesia's win against Vietnam, this means Indonesia progressed to the next round, while Vietnam and Philippines, who were so promising in recent times, have fallen short. Jordan got a 3-0 win against Tajikistan to advance to the third round, while Saudi Arabia beat Pakistan to advance as well. Tajikistan did bounce back beating Pakistan, but it didn't mean anything. Jordan came from behind against Saudi Arabia after conceding early with goals before halftime from Olwan and Al-Rawabdeh, I don't know, to win the group ahead of Saudi Arabia. Bahrain advanced to the next round after a 0-0 draw with Yemen and then drew with the UAE, scoring early. The UAE equalized though to win the group. Meanwhile, Yemen couldn't even beat Nepal. In Group I, Australia didn't have to do anything as they were already through, but they beat Bangladesh 2-0 and Palestine 5-0. Speaking of Palestine, they qualified for the final round for the first time ever after drawing to Lebanon the previous match day. Despite winning against Bangladesh in their final group game, Lebanon are out. The groups in the third round are as follows. In Group A, there's Iran, Qatar, Uzbekistan, UAE, the new boys Kyrgyzstan, and North Korea. In Group B, we have South Korea, Iraq, Jordan, Oman, debutant Palestine, and Kuwait. In Group C, there's Japan, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, China, and God bless their souls, Indonesia. I say Iran, South Korea, and Japan top the groups. The fight for second will be interesting in all groups as all these matches are rematches from before. Qatar and Uzbekistan in the Asian Cup, same goes for Jordan and Iraq. Saudi Arabia and Australia are rematching for the 1,000th time in qualifying, and judging by Saudi's recent results, Australia will go through. I think Qatar just edges past Uzbekistan, and same for Iraq ahead of Jordan. North Korea and the UAE will fight for the last playoff spot in Group A, and I say the UAE go through as they have more talent, and North Korea are 5th, with Kyrgyzstan last. Oman and Palestine will fight for the playoff as well, and I say Palestine get inspired and finish in 4th, while Oman are 5th and Kuwait last. Group C, however, I'm going for an upset here. The People's Republic of Brazil will finish last behind Indonesia, and Bahrain will qualify for the playoff. Anyways, those are my predictions, and let's preview all these matches. Iran will start off their window with an easy match at home versus Kyrgyzstan, and then they will travel to the UAE to play them, which is a 2022 qualifying rematch and Asian Cup rematch. Qatar hosts the UAE in what will be a spicy match as they are both rivals, and then they will play North Korea at a neutral venue. Uzbekistan play North Korea, and then fight Kyrgyzstan in the Battle of the Stands. Group B already sees another good matchup with Iraq and Oman. South Korea hosts Palestine, and the Palestinians will be playing with all they have. Jordan hosts an easy match over Kuwait. Palestine and Jordan play the next match at a neutral venue due to obvious reasons. South Korea travel to Oman to play them in a crucial match for Oman if they want to qualify, and Iraq play what should be an easy match in Kuwait, but you can never count them out. In Group C, we have 4 teams from the same group in 2022. China and the big ones, Saudi Arabia, Australia, and Japan. All 3 of them host Indonesia, Bahrain, and China respectively in the first match day. Then Japan will travel to Bahrain to play them, Saudi will travel to play the citizenship merchants, while Indonesia will host neighbors Australia. These home matches are games where the lower teams need to get points because you have 3 giants. It will probably be easier to beat Saudi Arabia, which gives underdogs like China and Indonesia hope this window. But Japan usually have bad starts in qualifying, so who knows.